Hi, hello guys, good morning. This is Srinivasan. Today the topic we are going to discuss from history unit number 8. The topic is the struggle for POORNA SWARAJ and launch of civil disobedience movement. Meanwhile, some congressmen were not satisfied with Dominion status and wanted to demand complete independence. In the Congress session held in Lahore in December 1929 with Jawaharlal Nehru as the president, Poorna Swaraj was declared as the goal. It was also decided to boycott the Round Table Conference and launch a civil disobedience movement. 26th January 1930 was declared as Independence Day and pledge was taken all over the country to attain Poorna Swaraj non-violently through civil disobedience, including non-payment of taxes. The Indian National Congress authorized Gandhi to launch the movement. Salt Satyagraha movement. A charter of demands presented to the Viceroy Lord Irwin with an ultimatum to comply by 31st January 1930 included point number 1. Reduction of expenditure on army and civil service by 50%. Point number 2. Introduction of total prohibition. Point number 3. Release of all political prisoners. Point number 4. Reduction of land revenue by 50%. Point number 5. Abolition of salt tax. When the Viceroy did not respond to the Charter of Demands, Gandhi launched the civil disobedience movement. The inclusion of abolition of salt tax was a brilliant tactical decision. Salt was an issue which affected every section of the society. It transformed civil disobedience movement into a mass movement drawing all sections of the population including women to the streets. At the break of dawn of 12th March 1930, Gandhi set out from Sabarmati Ashram with 78 of its inmates. The procession became larger and larger when hundreds joined them along the march. At the age of 61, Gandhi covered a distance of 241 miles in 24 days to reach Dundee at sunset on 5th April 1930. The next morning, he took a lump of salt, breaking the salt law. In Tamil Nadu, C. Rajaji led a similar salt march from Tiruchirappalli to Vedaranyam. Salt marches took place in Kerala, Andhra and Bengal. In the northwest frontier province, Khan Abdul Kafur Khan led the movement. He organized the Kudai Kitmatgar, also known as Red Shirts. Government crushed the movement with brutal force, causing in many casualties. The soldiers of the Garwali regiment refused to fire on unarmed satyagrahis. Gandhi was arrested at midnight and sent to Yerawada jail. Jawaharlal Nehru, Khan Abdul Kafur Khan and other leaders were swiftly arrested. Soon other forms of protest such as boycott of foreign clothes, picketing of liquor shops, non-payment of taxes, breaking of forest laws, etc. were adopted. Women, peasants, tribals, students, even children and all sections participated in the nationwide struggle. It was the biggest mass movement India had ever witnessed. More than 90,000 people were arrested. Round Table Conference. In the mindset of the movement, the first Round Table Conference was held at London in November 1930. Ramsay MacDonald, the British Prime Minister, proposed a federal government with provincial autonomy. There was a deadlock over the question of separate electorate for the minorities. The Congress did not attend it as its leaders were in jail. The conference closed without any decision on the question. It was clear that without Congress participation, the discussions were of no value. Gandhi was released unconditionally. Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Lord Irwin held talks with Gandhi which resulted in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact on 5th March 1931. The British agreed to the demand of immediate release of all political prisoners not involved in violence, return of confiscated land, and lenient treatment of government employees who had resigned. It also permitted the people of coastal villages to make salt for consumption and non-violent picketing. The Congress agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement and attend the conference. Gandhi attended the second roundtable conference which began on 7 September 1931. Gandhi refused to accept separate electorate for minorities. As a result, the second conference ended without any result. Renewal of civil disobedience. On returning to India, Gandhi revived the civil disobedience movement. This time, the government was prepared to meet the resistance. Martial law was enforced and Gandhi was arrested on 4th January 1932. Soon, all the Congress leaders were arrested too. Protest and picketing by the people were suppressed with force. Nearly 80,000 people were arrested within 4 months. The nationalist press was completely gagged. Despite government's repressive measures, it is worth mentioning here that the movement continued till April 1934. In the meantime, the third roundtable conference was held from 17th November to 24th December 1932. The Congress did not participate in the conference as it had revived the civil disobedience movement. Communal Award and Poorna Pact. On 16th August 1932, Ramsay MacDonald announced the Communal Award. It provided separate electorates to the minorities, vice, Muslims, Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians and women and the depressed classes. Gandhi strongly opposed the inclusion of depressed classes in the list of minorities. Gandhi argued that it would not only divide the Hindus but also make the campaign against untouchability meaningless, as they would be considered distinct from the Hindus. However, he supported reservation of seats. B.R. Ambedkar, the leader of the depressed classes, strongly argued for the separate electorate as it, according to him, would give them political representation and power. On 20th September 1932, Gandhi went on a fast unto death against the separate electorates for the depressed classes. Madan Mohan Malaviya, Rajendra Prasad and others held talks with Ambedkar and M.C. Raja, the leader of the depressed classes. After intense negotiations, an agreement was arrived between Gandhi and Ambedkar known as the Poorna Pact. Its main terms were the principle of separate electorates was abandoned. Instead, the principle of joint electorate was accepted with reservation of seats for the depressed classes. Reserved seats for the depressed classes were increased from 71 to 148. In the central legislature, 18% of the seats were reserved. Campaign against untouchability. Gandhi devoted the next few years towards abolition of untouchability. His engagement with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar made a big impact on his ideas about the caste system. He shifted his base to the Satyagraha ashram at Wardha. He undertook an all-India tour called the Harijan Tour. He started the Harijan Sevak Sangh to work for the removal of discriminations. He worked to promote education, cleanliness and hygiene and giving up of liquor among the depressed class. He also undertook 2 fasts in 1933 for this cause. An important part of the campaign was the temple entry movement. 8th January 1933 was observed as Temple Entry Day. His campaign earned the ire of Orthodox Hindus and an attempt was made on his life by obscurantist upper caste Hindus. But this did not deter his mission. The work among the depressed classes and the tribals took the message of nationalism to the grassroots. Okay guys, thank you. Our lesson came to an end. I will meet you on following videos. Bye bye from Srinivasan. Love you all. Take care.